I want to say thanks to all of you who have enjoyed watching my video on how to cut a circle skirt. But I did have a lot of you that had questions and wanted to know. So I'm going to show you in this video how to do it for an adult size and to show you what the limitations are with your fabrics. I'm going to tell you what I have right now as far as my fabric goes. Looks like I have about 2 yards of fabric here. So my fabric is 60 inches wide and it's folded over in half, so that's 30 inches one way. So with it being 30 inches one way, then the width of your fabric will limit how long your skirt will be, because here's your circle. So from here down will limit the amount of length. So what I'm going to do, start by taking my fabric edges, my salvage edges, and I'm going to put them together. All right, so I got my edges together. That's the first step, is to make sure that everything is straight. You're going to take your fold edges right here. So now you've got 4 layers. So this is going to end up being your circle skirt. So for whatever your distance is from the top to the bottom, that's how long the skirt's going to be. So in my case, my skirt length is about 34.5 inches long. But of course it won't be that way, because you got to cut a circle out here. So depending on how big of a circle you cut, that's going to make it about 32 inches. Now if you want to get smart, you can fold this over. Now let's flip around on this side. Now remember, these were our fold edges. That's the fold edge, and this is the selvage edge. Well, you also have another fold edge here. This is where I folded my 2 yards in half. So now I've got 1 yard, about 1 yard increments here. So your circle skirt is going to be from this tip down the fold edge, but also from this tip down the width edge. So what I always do is fold this over so that your fold edge and your top edge come together. And when you do that, that's pretty much going to tell you how long your skirt is going to be. So as you can see, my selvage edges are going to stop here. So if I measure from the tip down, my skirt's going to end up being about 31 inches before I do the hem. So the easy thing that I like to do, and it's very, very simple, I've taken my chalk pencil, and as you can see, I'm going to find the longest point, which in my case, the longest point is going to be this 30 or 31. My edges aren't quite straight, so I'm just going to mark it at 30.5. And you're going to keep your measuring tape at the center, and you're going to keep measuring 30.5. So I'm going to do that all the way over. So now you can see I have my 30 inches measured all the way around. So now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut all the layers. It's going to be kind of thick, but if you can do this by cutting all the layers together, it's perfect. But if you can't, another shortcut is cut part of them. Take the top few layers, cut them out, and then you can take the bottom layers, and using the top layer as a pattern, you can cut it out as well. And it don't have to be cut perfect, because like I said, you're going to hem it anyway. So now that we've got the circle cut out, we've got to cut the waist out. And you can measure, I think, you know, I want to cut mine so that the waist is like a 32, 33. So what I always say do is take your measuring tape and stand it up like this and measure it like that. So you see when I do that, that's 3 inches. But you got 4 layers. So 4 times 3 is 12. So as you come out and I do that, now I'm getting 7 inches. 7 times 4 is 28. But remember, as the farther down you move, the shorter your skirt's going to be. So by doing this, I've already shortened my skirt by 4 inches. So my 30.5 now is like 26, which is still okay. But I would suggest that you do this, that you start first by cutting a small circle out of the top. Because it's always best to cut a small amount and then go back and cut a large amount. Because you see, as you open it up, here it gets larger and larger. Of course, we know that nobody's waist is that big. But it's always a good idea to cut it a small amount as possible. So what I'm going to do now because I know that that's not quite large enough for my waist. So I am going to line these back up again because they slipped. Okay, and I'm going to cut out, make it another inch shorter. So I'm actually cutting off another inch. So now that I've cut off another inch, what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to measure and see just what my measurement is for the waist. So as I measure, you see the measurement is coming out to be 11 and a half. So that will be 23 inches. And remember I said I wanted my waist to be a 32 or 33. I'm going to cut a little more. So you see, if you cut a lot at the beginning, you can't go back. But if you cut little at a time, you'll be okay. And since we don't have a pattern, we're doing this freehand. So this time I'm going to cut a ½ inch off. First time I cut an inch. This time my waist is measuring. Before it was 11 and a half. Well, now it's 13, so that's a 26. So I'm still a little short, but keep in mind, the more you cut, the shorter your skirt is getting. I'm going to cut another ½ inch. And this time, I'm measuring a 15 and a half. So that means that makes my waist a 31. Remember I said about a 32, so I think I'm going to stop right there. But if I wanted to, just to be on the safe side, and if I wanted to make it another, I could just go just a hair this time. I mean, you would only cut like a small amount. I'm talking like a 1/4 inch. Let's see if I can get that 1/4 inch cut out. So I'm just cutting a 1/4 inch off this time, and this time it should be like a 32 or 33. Okay, so like I said, by doing that little 1/4 inch, see what difference it made? Remember I was at 15 before? Now I'm at 16, so now I'm at a 32. It's at the waist measurement that I want because I don't want any gathers. So our skirt is cut and you're only going to have one seam, so I'm going to put a little zipper in the back of my skirt to go with my dress. But as you see, it's already done. Now I'm going to put this skirt on the mannequin so you can see the effects that it has, okay? See how beautiful the circle skirt hangs on the mannequin? Isn't that just beautiful?